police officer has been shot. Apparently it's serious. Details are just now coming in, but here's what we know. Late this afternoon, an NYPD detective was shot at point blank range.
Getting the seriousness of those injuries.
Central Park is rocked tonight by a violent shooting. A New York City police detective is clinging to life tonight.
He's in the intensive care unit at Bellevue Hospital. Family, friends, and several NYPD officers are holding a vigil for him.
Love is the way. Forgiveness. Are we able to forgive? Sometimes it's very hard. You're looking at a pictures of Stephen Mcdonald. And Stephen Mcdonald is a hero. He's a hero in my book. Done something that seems so simple, yet is so hard to do. Love and forgive. So, Detective Steve Mcdonald, New York City police officer, shot and paralyzed on July 12th, 1986. He was shot by a 15-year-old, Shavah Jones. Shavah Jones was in a group with two other people. And this is actually the grave of Detective Stephen Mcdonald, located in Holyrood Cemetery in Westbury, New York. But Shavah Jones, he was questioning, about a bicycle theft in Central Park. So Officer McDonald was on patrol in Central Park because there had been reports of a robbery in the park. While attempting to question Jones, McDonald, which he later said was a mistake, something that he should not have done, he noticed something in the sock that the boy was carrying. And when he wanted to see what it was, McDonald was shot 3 times. First bullet hit him in the head. Above his eye. The second hit his throat, caused him to have a speaking disability. The third shattered his spine, paralyzing him from... That third shot paralyzed him from the neck down, and it left him quadriplegic, in need of a ventilator. It took him a year and a half, from the day that he was shot, to finally come back home. Several months after he was shot, Officer McDonald reported to the press that he had forgiven Jones for his actions. Steve McDonald, Detective McDonald, was a devout Catholic, and he said that he would not be able to live with himself if he didn't forgive. And now, Jones served 9 years in prison for the shooting and had called McDonald to apologize, but the two never met after the incident. Jones was killed in a motorcycle accident September 10th, 1995, just 4 days after his release on parole. Love is the way. McDonald, he went on to promote his message of love and forgiveness by founding Breaking the Cycle, a program that was used to kind of promote non-violent conflict resolutions. He, McDonald, would attend assemblies, at high schools, middle schools, and tell the story about his, personal story of forgiveness. The program was started after McDonald traveled to Northern Ireland multiple times with his friend's Father Judge. If you remember Father Judge, he was a victim of 9/11. I've done a prior video on Father Judge as well, which is on there. And so just imagine what Detective Mcdonald went through, and it was right around, he was 29 years old. Just try to picture this. 29 years old, you're right at when life was just beginning. Newlywed. His first child was on the way, who, by the way, did become a police officer. I believe he's actually a sergeant now. But you got your whole life ahead of you. It's really just starting. Married, you're having a kid. You're buying a home. Maybe you already bought a home, and there you're on the verge. You're just in the prime of your life. And 15-year-old that should know right, and a 15-year-old that should know the difference between right and wrong, made a stupid choice, and now, someone paid for it. And to Detective McDonald's credit, he forgave, wasn't bitter. He took a negative. He should have died, based on all reports, and he recovered and made it his calling to try to better the world. Imagine. We can't forgive others if they, if they didn't give back our $20 that they promised last week. Imagine trying to forgive someone that tried to shoot you. Over what? Being questioned over a bicycle. Nonetheless. A man of great virtues, Detective McDonald. And I don't do many of these type of videos, but I just wanted to pay tribute. I remember this story growing up. It had the city on edge. It had the city devastated. And he did manage to live, I believe, another close to 30 years after the fact, and just be a huge difference maker. Imagine if the world was just full of love and forgiveness. Imagine where we would be as a society. Imagine. Rest in peace.
The closer I got to the city, I knew that something was really wrong, because they were very quiet. They really weren't talking to me, because, they knew how serious it was. And when I got to the hospital and I saw everyone's faces, I knew that this was not good. I remember certain faces. There was one police officer that worked with Stephen, and I remember his face, and just like, when you look at somebody and they're looking at you going, I can't believe that this has happened, and then saw my family, and they were, embracing me, and, everyone was crying, and
my job was to survive.
Time for tears as we bid farewell to a great man, NYPD Detective Stephen Mcdonald. Thousands of officers and ordinary people lined Fifth Avenue outside St. Patrick's Cathedral to pay their respects as the hero made his final journey. Cardinal Timothy Dolan officiated.
We're here to thank God for Stephen's splendid life of love and service.
Officers and firefighters also stood in tribute on overpasses as the funeral cortege made its way into the city, dozens of motorcycles leading the way. The bagpipes were stilled, and only a solemn drumbeat and the peal of a bell could be heard as the NYPD pipe band escorted the hearse to the cathedral. Then, as a lone piper played Amazing Grace, the coffin was carried inside. McDonald was the young patrolman shot 3 times in 1986 by a teenager who was stealing a bike in Central Park. He was left paralyzed for life, but he forgave the teen who shot him, and his courage and compassion in the years that followed inspired everyone.
Be with the New York City Police Department. It's the best ever.
He died of a heart attack on Tuesday, aged 59.